In a labyrinth of modern anxieties, few narratives are as pervasive and enduring as the New World Order conspiracy theory.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations.
It's a specter that haunts the fringes of political discourse, a shadowy cabal whispered about in hushed tones. Promising a future where sovereignty is obsolete and individual liberty a distant memory. This isn't merely a fringe belief. It's a complex, evolving tapestry of fear and suspicion, woven from historical threads, cultural anxieties, and a deep-seated distrust of power. At its most fundamental, the New World Order, abbreviated as NWO, conspiracy theory posits the existence of a clandestine elite, a shadowy network operating in the highest echelons of power, manipulating global events to establish a totalitarian world government. This isn't envisioned as a benevolent unification, but rather a forceful imposition, a dismantling of national identities and independent states in favor of single, centralized authority. Proponents argue that this transition is not accidental. It's a deliberate, orchestrated campaign, masked by propaganda and presented as the inevitable march of progress. The ultimate aim, according to this theory, is a world where individual rights are subservient to the dictates of this unelected global regime. The roots of the NWO theory are surprisingly deep, stretching back to the early 20th century. Initially, the term New World Order was invoked in a positive light, particularly by figures like Woodrow Wilson and Winston Churchill, to describe the post-World War I and post-World War II eras, respectively. It was a call for international cooperation, a move towards global governance aimed at preventing future conflicts and fostering stability. The formation of the League of Nations and later the United Nations, along with institutions like NATO and the Bretton Woods system, were seen as building blocks of this new, more ordered world. However, this optimistic vision soon took a darker turn. By the Cold War era, particularly during the Second Red Scare in the United States, the concept of a new world order became intertwined with fears of communism and global collectivism. Right-wing groups, most notably the John Birch Society, began to propagate a conspiratorial interpretation, viewing the NWO as a communist plot to undermine American sovereignty and impose a godless, collectivist world government. The United Nations, initially conceived as a beacon of international cooperation, was now cast as a Trojan horse, a tool for this clandestine global takeover. This era saw the rise of anxieties about Freemasons, the Illuminati, and shadowy internationalist forces, all allegedly working in concert to erode national identities and establish a unified, authoritarian world. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 might have been expected to diminish these fears, but instead, it arguably amplified and reshaped them. With the Cold War paradigm gone, the focus of the NWO conspiracy shifted from communism to a more nebulous concept of globalism. President George H.W. Bush's use of the phrase New World Order in a 1990 speech, intended to describe the post-Cold War international landscape, was seized upon by conspiracy theorists as confirmation of their long-held suspicions. This period saw the rise of Christian right interpretations, fueled by figures like Pat Robertson, who popularized NWO theories within evangelical circles, often linking them to end-times prophecies and biblical interpretations of the Antichrist. Simultaneously, secular conspiracy theories flourished, often disseminated through burgeoning media like talk radio, the nascent internet, and even Hollywood, with shows like The X-Files tapping into and popularizing NWO themes. The militia movement of the 1990s, fueled by distrust of government and fears of federal overreach, further embraced and amplified NWO narratives, often incorporating elements like black helicopters and FEMA concentration camp theories. The 2007 to 2008 financial crisis provided fresh fuel for NWO theories. Global calls for financial reform, spearheaded by figures like Gordon Brown and Henry Kissinger, were interpreted not as necessary measures to stabilize the global economy, but as further steps towards centralized control and the establishment of a global financial dictatorship. In more recent years, events like the Russia-Ukraine war have been folded into NWO narratives, with some theorists viewing the conflict as a staged event designed to advance the globalist agenda. The internet and social media have become crucial vectors for the spread and evolution of NWO theories, allowing for rapid dissemination, cross-pollination of ideas, and the formation of online communities of believers. Beneath the overarching umbrella of the NWO theory lie a multitude of sub-conspiracy theories, each with its own historical context and cast of villains. The end-time narrative, rooted in certain interpretations of Christian eschatology, sees the NWO as the fulfillment of biblical prophecy, a sign of the approaching apocalypse and the reign of the Antichrist. Freemasonry, with its historical secrecy and elaborate rituals, has long been a target of conspiratorial suspicion, accused of harboring a hidden political agenda aimed at establishing a Masonic-led NWO, often linked to Satanism. Despite Freemason denials, the Illuminati, a short-lived 18th century Bavarian secret society, has become mythologized as the ultimate puppet master, secretly orchestrating global events from behind the scenes, their influence allegedly extending to modern groups like Skull and Bones, the Council on Foreign Relations, and the Trilateral Commission. The Protocols of the Elders of Zion, a fabricated anti-Semitic text published in the early 20th century, remains a potent, albeit thoroughly discredited, source of NWO narratives. This hoax document purports to reveal a Jewish Masonic plot for world domination, and despite its proven falsity, it continues to fuel anti-Semitic tropes within NWO theories. The Round Table movement, initiated by Cecil Rhodes in the late 19th century with the aim of expanding British influence, is also often cited as a precursor to the NWO, with organizations like the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission seen as its modern incarnations, furthering a globalist agenda. H.G. Wells' vision of an open conspiracy, advocating for a technocratic world state, and Alice Bailey's New Age prophecies of a coming world government guided by spiritual masters have also been incorporated into the NWO mythos, often viewed with suspicion by Christian conservatives. More extreme variations include theories of a Fourth Reich, suggesting that ex-Nazis are secretly working to establish a pan-Aryan global empire, and alien invasion theories, positing that extraterrestrial forces are manipulating human society, with governments complicit in a vast cover-up. Even dystopian visions like Aldous Huxley's Brave New World are sometimes invoked, with fears of a technologically advanced, dehumanized NWO, where a genetically engineered elite rules over a docile populace. How is this new world order to be implemented? Conspiracy theorists propose a variety of methods. Gradualism suggests a slow, incremental erosion of national sovereignty through the establishment and expansion of international organizations like the Federal Reserve, the United Nations, the World Trade Organization, and proposed entities like a North American Union and a unified currency. Coup d'etat scenarios envision a more forceful takeover, involving a shadowy secret team and black helicopters, imposing a totalitarian UN-controlled government, suspending constitutions, declaring martial law, and rounding up dissenters into FEMA concentration camps. Mass surveillance is seen as a key tool of control, with social security numbers, barcodes, RFID chips, and biometric identification technologies all viewed as instruments of a growing surveillance state, echoing Orwellian anxieties of 1984. Occultism posits a deeper, more sinister agenda, suggesting that the NWO is driven by ancient occult forces, seeking to overthrow Judeo-Christian values and establish a one-world religion, symbolized by enigmatic monuments like the Georgia Guidestones. Population control theories warn of a deliberate effort to reduce the global population through measures like forced sterilization, promotion of abortion, engineered pandemics, and environmental catastrophes, often linked to Neo-Malthusianism and UN Agenda 21. Mind control scenarios, often drawing on Cold War-era anxieties about brainwashing and psychological warfare, suggest that the NWO employs sophisticated mind control techniques, from subliminal advertising and water fluoridation to advanced technologies like silent sound spread spectrum and MIDUSA, to manipulate public opinion and suppress dissent. Who are the alleged architects of this grand conspiracy? The cast of villains is as varied as the theories themselves. Early NWO theories often focused on crypto-communists, seen as secretly plotting global domination in league with the Soviet Union. After 1991, the United Nations itself became a primary suspect, viewed as the operational arm of the NWO, despite its perceived weakness and limited actual power. The global elite, a nebulous group of international power brokers, are frequently cited, often drawing on works like David Rothkopf's Superclass, which describes a network of 6,000 individuals who allegedly control global affairs. Wealthy, long-established families, like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, are perennial targets of NWO theorists, accused of secretly funding and manipulating global institutions to further their own agenda of world domination. Organizations like the Bilderberg Group, the Bohemian Club, the Club of Rome, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Rhodes Trust, Skull and Bones, and the Trilateral Commission are all implicated as key NWO planning and operational bodies. The alleged goals of these conspirators are equally expansive: to establish a global central bank, to financialize the world economy, to consolidate media ownership, to implement mass surveillance, to use state-sponsored terrorism to control populations, and to ultimately install a puppet world leader, ushering in a utopian, yet dystopian era of global governance. The New World Order conspiracy theory has faced widespread criticism from academics, analysts, and skeptics. Michael Barkin, a leading scholar of conspiracy theories, critiques NWO proponents for employing flawed logic, conspiratorial thinking, and fusion paranoia, warning of the potential for such beliefs to incite violence, particularly from lone actors driven by millennialist anxieties. Marxist critics view the NWO theory as a right-wing distraction, arguing that the real New World Order is the neoliberal/neoconservative global order imposed by capitalist elites, which actually undermines international socialism. G. William Domhoff, a sociologist who studies power structures, dismisses the NWO theory as lacking empirical evidence, arguing that genuine power structures are far more transparent and less conspiratorial than NWO theorists imagine. Mark C. Partridge, writing in Diplomatic Courier, points to the resurgence of nationalism and the repeated failures of global agreements as evidence against the NWO narrative, arguing that the world is moving away from, not towards, global governance. Cultural critics often interpret super-conspiracy theories like the NWO as postmodern narratives, offering a sense of political empowerment by allowing individuals to question and challenge established societal structures. Skeptics warn that conspiratorial thinking, while sometimes stemming from legitimate distrust, can lead to unproductive cynicism, intellectual paralysis, and a descent into paranoia. Alexander Zaitchik, writing for the Southern Poverty Law Center, condemns NWO theories as tools of the far right used to undermine mainstream society and promote extremist ideologies. Internal critiques within NWO circles also point to the inherent contradictions and problematic ideologies often embedded within these theories, including Christian dominionism, extreme nationalism, white supremacy, and outright misanthropy, all of which clash with the stated liberal values often espoused by NWO theorists themselves. Despite these criticisms, the NWO conspiracy theory continues to resonate, particularly in times of global uncertainty and rapid change. Recent events, such as the Russia-Ukraine war and the COVID-19 pandemic, have seen a resurgence in NWO narratives, often amplified through social media, linking these events to a larger globalist plot. This resurgence is not merely academic. It has real-world consequences. Instances of violence and extremism, such as the 2016 arrests of individuals planning to attack the HARP facility in Alaska, demonstrate the potential for NWO beliefs to incite real-world action. The enduring appeal of the New World Order conspiracy theory lies in its ability to provide a seemingly coherent and comprehensive explanation for complex global events, tapping into deep-seated anxieties about power, control, and the future of humanity. However, beneath the surface of this intricate narrative lies a foundation of speculation, misinformation, and a profound distrust of established institutions, ultimately offering not enlightenment, but a distorted and often dangerous worldview. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support Scary Phil. See you in the next conspiracy theory.